The best time to prepare for an emergency is before it happens. The hurricane season starts next week. Are you prepared? Don't wait for a warning to get ready. In fact, if you haven't put together a hurricane survival kit as yet, now would be a good time to do so. I'm Audrey Williams. In today's magazine, steps you can take to protect the environment, plus making water safe to drink. Then later, technology you could use to protect your home from a natural disaster. Stay tuned.
Terrible storms, drought, food shortages. Climate change is real. We can't stop it, but we can slow it down. Conserve water, plant trees, recycle, practice rainwater harvesting, use good agricultural practices. Contact the Climate Change Division at 906-0724 for more information.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, May 24. Jamaica has strengthened its cooperation with the Dominican Republic with the signing of several bilateral agreements. Among them is a visa waiver pact which will facilitate easier travel for diplomatic and official passport holders. The agreement was brokered by Prime Minister Andrew Holness during a recent official visit to the Dominican Republic. Mr. Holness also signed a communique with President Danilo Medina, which covers travel, tourism, commerce, education, and agriculture. The two also signed an agreement to finalize a multi-destination tourism framework in the coming months. Coming out of the May 15 to 16 official visit, plans are far advanced for the establishment of a joint business and investment council. That council will allow for greater private and public sector collaboration on business and trade relations between the two countries. During talks, the two leaders also expressed a willingness to pursue exchanges and training programs to promote language training in Spanish and English. And Prime Minister Holness expressed interest in replicating the Dominican Republic's public-private partnership model in developing social programs, particularly in the housing sector. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has given the United Kingdom Jamaica's pledge of support in the fight against terrorism. This after Monday's explosion at the Manchester Arena, which left 22 people dead and 59 others injured. In a letter to his British counterpart Tuesday, Mr. Holness extended condolences to the people of the United Kingdom, particularly the families of those killed. As he condemned the attack, the Prime Minister saluted the courage of the city officials and the people of Manchester, who he said displayed great selflessness and generosity of spirit in the face of danger. Operators of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, will be able to further develop their businesses and push their products. The Scientific Research Council, SRC, and the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, JBDC, have signed a Memorandum of Understanding to share their expertise with MSMEs. Entities referred to the JBDC by the SRC will get assistance to formally register their businesses, move them to the commercial stage, identify funding, and undertake marketing activities.
It's not just having an SRC product, but utilizing what resources exist locally to increase their possibility of being a success. And that is one of the things that this MOU will really cover, how we exchange the expertise, our share expertise from one institution to the other in the interest of our clients primarily, so they can be more successful.
The MOU will also allow startup MSMEs to execute their business ideas through research and development.
The concept of research is so critical in really establishing a strong foundation from which you can move into economic activity. We found that there was such a reservoir of rich information at the SRC. All the family that you have, that, as Dr. Riley says, on the shelf, we want to really work at moving it from the shelf to implementation with this sector.
Government is set to roll out a Scotch bonnet pepper program in northeast Manchester in the next few weeks. Minister without portfolio in the Agriculture Ministry, J.C. Hutchinson, made the announcement during a recent meeting with Irish potato farmers in Manchester. He says farmers will receive seedlings and other inputs up front, with payments being made when crops are reaped. To benefit from the initiative, farmers will have to be a member of an organization under the umbrella of the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA. The authority and other stakeholders will provide the farmers with technical and marketing support. And finally, the Ministry of Health will be launching an initiative to encourage more expectant mothers to seek out prenatal care to secure their health and that of their babies. Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton laments that in 2015, only 41% of expectant mothers visited the public health facilities during the first trimester of pregnancy, only 50% during their second trimester, and just about 8.4% in the third trimester.
We will be launching another initiative where we essentially motivate expectant mothers to come to the health centers by giving them not just the information, but also something tangible so they can prepare themselves for when that child is born.
Dr. Tufton was speaking at the recent launch of the Best for Mommy and Baby initiative, which is being implemented by the Southern Regional Health Authority in collaboration with the Health Ministry and Fontana Pharmacy. It involves supplying each new mother with a gift basket that contains a user-friendly booklet with antenatal and postnatal care information.
It's easy to understand. The instructions are very clear. And this now is the Bible for pre- and postnatal care. And you know, I believe that every mother wants the best for their child. Not every mother or expectant mother follows through, but the desire is there. And so from a policy perspective, it is our responsibility to make it as easy and as simple as possible. And this is the vision that is being manifested here today in this publication.
The initiative is being piloted at the Mandeville Regional Hospital and will eventually move to other parts of the island. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash no paper, no dash no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep
eat.
we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica.
Even though we cannot control Mother Nature, our activities can affect her behavior. Things such as burning garbage and cutting down trees contribute to global warming. As the temperature of the Earth's surface increases, we have more severe droughts and deadlier floods. In our next feature, learn how you can play a part in limiting this climate change.
Warning, warning, warning! The world over is changing, and a number of the changes are as a result of the way you and I have chosen to live. From driving a car to garbage disposal, using electricity to light and cool your homes. All these activities contribute to the evolving problem known as climate change.
Climate change is happening now.
For some strange reason, Jamaica doesn't have any rainfall at all.
What I know right now is that it's a very hot summer.
The drought is killing us.
From the farmer to the housewife, climate change has no boundaries. It does not discriminate.
If I was to define climate change, I would say something like it's the long-term changes in measures of climate happening over very, very long periods of time, and specifically due to human activities. So the first is, of course, things that we burn for electricity, so gas and coal and oil. And when we burn those fossil fuels, we put certain gases in the atmosphere which are known as greenhouse gases. And those greenhouse gases cause the eventual warming of the earth. And then the other one would be land use change. So for example, when we cut down the trees and replace the trees by concrete, you know, trees are what we call a natural sink. They take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere.
At the onset, The situation might seem dismal, but if we act now, we can begin adapting to the impacts of climate change.
The school of thought is that there are really three key actions. The first is what they call mitigation. And by mitigation in the climate change context is, well, maybe we need to not put out as much greenhouse gases, which are causing the problem in the first place. The second key action then is figuring out how to adapt. And adapting means learning to live within the new context that we are creating for ourselves, the new climate context. The third critical plank is always education. We have to begin to educate people about climate change.
The country has been implementing a number of climate change resilient programs since 1995, when it became party to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, the main international treaty on climate change. The adaptation, mitigation, and education strategies have been reflected in the development of the Vision 2030 National Development Plan through Goal 4 under Outcome 14, Hazard Risk Reduction and Adaptation to Climate Change. The Climate Change Division has a leading role in coordinating these initiatives.
The Climate Change Division is set up to accomplish a number of objectives, and that includes improving the general awareness of the public as to what climate change is and what as a country we can all do in order to make ourselves better prepared for the likely and significant impacts.
The division has been making strides in creating awareness about climate change and each individual's role in protecting the environment.
As a country, we need to think, how can we reduce our greenhouse gas output? One obvious way is, for example, renewable energy. So to pursue renewable energy as a viable energy option.
Our main activity is to ensure that we keep whatever forests we have in Jamaica intact. And in areas that we have lost the forest is to replace it.
We have seen where our shoreline is changing. We've been doing a lot of work with replanting of mangroves, and we encourage replanting of seagrass. We have done work with establishment of coral nurseries, artificial reefs.
We have experienced firsthand and will continue to see the changes that result from climate change. It is real, and all hands have to be on board to ensure success in our mitigation, adaptation, and education strategies. With climate change, we must change.
Prevent overfishing, give our marine resources room to replenish, protect valuable marine species from extinction. Fish sanctuaries have been created to do just that. These designated protected areas for fish and other marine life help to breed, grow, and maintain a healthy population. No one is allowed in a fish sanctuary. It is illegal. Offenders will be arrested and their fishing equipment and catch confiscated. Allowing our marine and seafood population to grow means more catch later and food security for all.
Even with the recent heavy rains and muddy water everywhere, the NWC is ensuring that you get clean, safe water to drink from the tap. Here's how.
The human body cannot function without water. While you may live for up to 3 weeks without food, you cannot go more than a week without water. From breaking down the food we eat so the body can use it, to helping us heal when we get sick, water is needed for almost every process that takes place in the body. And although 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water, drinking it directly from seas, rivers, wells, or aqueducts may make you sick. Untreated water contains bacteria and other germs, as well as chemicals that may be dangerous to the body. So in order to get the water from here to here safely, it has to be treated. Water treatment processes differ depending on the source. If the water is coming from a river, for example, here at the Negro River in St. Thomas, it usually goes through an extensive treatment process before reaching the pipe.
Here is where we do the first type of treatment in the form of sedimentation and screening. Behind me you can see where we screen the bigger stuff like the sticks, the stones and debris. Then we come down to the sediment where we separate the sand from the stones. And then this water will leave from St. Thomas and pipe into Kingston via pipeline into the Mona Reservoir.
The Mona Reservoir is the island's largest raw water storage facility and provides the liquid to over 30% of people living in Kingston and St. Andrew. If this is where you get your water, here is where the next step in the treatment process occurs.
Here in the reservoir, we allow for maximum levels of mixing, maximum levels of aeration, as can be done here at the facility. We also, at the reservoir, you allow for settling out of the silt and the suspended particles, dirt particles, that would otherwise be in the raw water. We then take the water from the reservoir and take it to the Mona treatment plant.
At the treatment plant, chemicals are added to further purify the water. Chlorine is first added to kill bacteria.
You have stages that include flocculation, where we actually add chemicals to the water that allow those microscopic dirt particles that are still in the water to be brought together in what we call flocks, and then we are able to skim it off and remove it from the water.
The water is then passed through filters which contain layers of sand, gravel, charcoal or synthetic materials that remove remaining small particles. The final stage is disinfection. Here, chlorine is added to kill any other bacteria or germ.
Ensuring that we have what we refer to as chlorine residual that goes with the water, so that as the water travels along the pipeline to our customers, should it come in contact with any germs along the way, there is enough chlorine residual in that water to destroy those germs and still be delivered to the customer in good quality.
The water is tested all throughout the treatment process to ensure that what you get in your pipe meets World Health Organization standards.
For several years running, the National Water Commission has won the best tasting water in the Caribbean. We have also been acknowledged by the various arms of the United Nations at different points in time as having one of the best quality water in the hemisphere.
That is definitely something we can drink to.
Next, learn about technology that you could use to protect one of your most precious and expensive investments, your home.
Floods and earthquakes are two of the most common natural disasters. But unlike earthquakes, which usually take us by surprise, flooding to some extent can be predicted.
But when it is, what should we do with the information? And how do we safeguard ourselves and properties against this eventuality?
Through the use of revolutionary technology, awareness of the possible outcomes of a natural disaster has become more advanced. Persons are now able to use data on location, roof, and house type to create a simulation of what may happen in an earthquake, tropical storm, or hurricane.
The simulation was designed to combine place, type of structure, and event. Because Jamaica is vulnerable to four types of events: hurricane/tropical storms, landslides, floods, and earthquakes. But the same building that you live in is exposed to all 4. And that same building you live in will react differently to all 4.
Jamaica's landscape equally sits in low-lying and coastal areas as on hills and valleys. The country is also in an earthquake zone, so it can't hurt to do a little research on all the what-ifs, right?
You'll be able to go inside your house and see your roof being blown off, or your slab roof staying on. You'll be inside your slab roof house when earthquake shakes, it comes down on you. We'll be able to have those type of simulations.
How about the possible outcome of a Category 5 hurricane if you're living in a zinc roof wooden house that is built on stilts in a river valley? So now that these predictions are available to us, just how useful are they?
This simulator is now designed to take all of that information, the conventional knowledge that we as academics know, or the disaster management professional knows, dump it online as we have. Let the developer, housing developer, have access to it and see for himself. Let the parish council person or the development approval authority play with it.
And once they've viewed it, the authorities can use the data to plan areas for development, approve or deny development applications, and build better. The simulator is not just a special effect disaster interactive tool, but one that takes into account the realities of environmental and living conditions here in Jamaica.
And the simulator also seeks to bring an awareness of the impact natural disasters may have on lives, properties and businesses in relation to the country's national goals.
The effect a hazard would have on everything ranging from the individual to the nation is important, and scaremongering only goes so far.
The simulator allows you to either scare yourself or reassure yourself, but it's based on reality.
Another useful element to this drill is the data it uses. Historical data are planted and come to life through the simulator to facilitate emergency responses as well as forward planning in action.
Knowing where hazards are and knowing where they're not is extremely valuable information to businesses such as insurance. Instead of blanketing Portland as a hazard-prone parish, we can know which parts of Portland are hazard-prone, therefore allowing people in Portland who are not in hazard-prone areas to get lower insurance premiums. You underwrite them differently. And you also underwrite more accurately and properly the people who are in hazard-prone zones.
So, if you have already bought your dream home or are thinking of buying or building, you may want to try a few simulation exercises to test the stability of your home or to find out if where you intend to build is the best place to put down roots.
Hurricanes can strike at any time. In the event of one, be prepared to act quickly. If a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, review your home disaster response plan. Map out likely routes to evacuate if your home is at risk and confirm with relatives or friends you plan to stay with. Also, confirm the location of the nearest shelter. Check your emergency supplies and restock if necessary. Remember, disasters do happen, so be prepared.
During an emergency, it is easy to get confused and flustered, so you need to have all the important numbers at hand before danger strikes. Write emergency contacts bold and large and have them near every landline in the house, as well as other places where they are easily visible. Along with general emergency numbers such as 119 for police and 110 for fire and ambulance, there should be numbers for the nearest fire station, police station, and hospital. You cannot predict when an emergency will happen, so the only solution is to be ready at all times.
Jamaica is becoming numb. We are bombarded with all kinds of savagery and dastardly acts that the level of sensitivity which would spur the nation to stand up and say, no more, that sensitivity, that edge is being dulled, and we're becoming more accepting. It is the teachers who will have to draw the line in the sand and defend our moral standards. Because each time someone is murdered in a community or a child is killed, and then children start to become accustomed to this, there is a devaluation in the importance of life. And if there is no reinforcement of the importance of life, then we continue to slide down this very slippery slope. So teachers have to have in them, and principals in how they structure their schools, programs to reinforce these very important values. You have to care. When everybody else is giving up, you cannot give up. More than the lessons you deliver and the instructions you give in the classroom. You cannot give up on our children.
Today's show has come to an end, but information from JIS is always at your fingertips. Visit our website at jis.gov.jm. Follow us on Twitter at JIS News or like our Facebook page. Got feedback or comments on today's show? Send us an email at jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. I'm Audrey. Take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.